Stand by.
Roll sound, please.
Turn over.
65, take 2.
Action.
The classic legend of the Headless Horseman meets the dark vision of director Tim Burton in Sleepy Hollow.
It's a fantastic story, somewhat macabre, certainly very unusual.
I've always wanted to do a fairy tale, and this is like one of our few American fairy tales.
The Western Woods is a haunted place where brave men will not venture.
It's a horror film, it's a love story, it's a funny comedy. A lot of times you don't know whether to laugh or whether you're scared to death.
It's a type of movie that I used to like to watch all the time and actually made me want to make movies.
For those people who may know the story of Sleepy Hollow, you don't. This is scary.
And now, go behind the scenes to explore the filmmaking secrets of Sleepy Hollow. Meet the cast, live the legend, witness the stunts, and experience the state-of-the-art special effects.
Murder! The Horseman's killed again!
All right, let's go.
Director Tim Burton, who brought his unique imagination to such films as Beetlejuice, Batman, and Edward Scissorhands, travels back in time to tell the haunting legend of Sleepy Hollow.
3 persons have been murdered there with the head lopped off.
It's one of the first American horror stories or folk tales, fairy tales. And like any good fairy tale, it's sort of part of your subconscious.
I thought it was sort of creepy. I always remember hearing it, even from like nursery school, having it read to me.
It's also one of those famous Halloween stories, so yeah, we grew up with it.
All right, let's try it.
It had a good, healthy mix of excitement and slightly scary, but funny all at the same time. And I think that that's something that is always interesting, trying to mix all of those things together. So it's something that's a fun thing to try to do.
And action.
At the center of the story is Ichabod Crane, a constable from New York City who is sent on a special mission.
First meet Ichabod, his superiors send him to Sleepy Hollow to investigate these murders.
A lot of people are dying, and they're dying in a very particular way. They're having their heads cut off rather cleanly.
Their heads were not found severed. Their heads were not found at all.
The heads are gone.
Taken by the Headless Horseman.
He's a rational man. He doesn't believe in ghosts, and he thinks he's going to discover who's been cutting people's heads off, and it has to be somebody, and there has to be a good reason for it.
The assassin is a man of flesh and blood, and I will discover him.
Ichabod has all these ideas about experimental crime solving. He knows how to find blood with these special powders.
This is most irregular, Constable.
And doing an autopsy, which at the time was not widely accepted.
You need to operate immediately.
Operate? She's dead.
When we say operate, we mean, of course, I will need the operating table.
Ichabod, he's a character that lives basically inside of his head versus a character with no head. And that's probably the strongest appeal to the story for me, is that you always want to have 2 good adversaries.
And cut.
For Burton, part of the appeal of the project was the opportunity to reunite with Depp, his leading man from Edward Scissorhands and Ed Wood.
Johnny, he's just great. This is the 3rd time I've worked with him, and each time it's different, and I just enjoy his wanting to always do something different.
And Johnny.
The attacker rode Nazareth down, turned his horse, came back to clean the head.
In playing Ichabod, Depp was inspired by films and actors of the past.
I used to watch all kinds of horror films when I was a little kid. I loved them. I was obsessed with them. And I wanted to recreate that classic style of horror film acting.
We must proceed by a process of elimination. I shall make a list of every man and woman in Sleepy Hollow.
As he begins his investigation, Ichabod is introduced to the townspeople, including Katrina Van Tassel.
Is it Theodore?
No, pardon, miss, I'm only a stranger.
Then have a kiss on account. I'm the daughter of the wealthiest man in Sleepy Hollow. And Brom Van Brunt, he and I are supposed to be getting married at some point. Like, it's just understood that one day we will get married.
He's the main suitor for Katrina, and then Ichabod Crane comes in, and he steals her away from me.
This is a departure from the book because Ichabod originally is a very ugly man. And we all know that Johnny Depp is, you know, not too bad looking. Oh, I should love the opera. And theaters. To go dancing, is it wonderful? My character's very romantic, and I like to read romance novels, and I believe in witchcraft.
You two believe that the Van Garretts were murdered by a headless horseman?
Not everyone here believes it is the horseman.
Good.
Some say it is the witch of the Western Woods who has made a pact with Lucifer.
In creating an overall look for the film, Burton brought his distinctive style to every detail.
Can I have a paintbrush too?
I think Tim, first and foremost, is an artist. He has an artist's approach to every facet of the film. Everything within the frame is of great importance to him. The composition of the shot, the colors, the movement.
Tim is so incredibly visual. His movies are just really beautiful, but strange. And for this kind of movie, that's exactly what it needs.
He has a gothic sensibility. I think anyone who's seen any of his films would say that that was the case.
Yeah, as I say.
I think with Tim, it's a lot about design and the art of it and creating a world. And with Sleepy Hollow, we wanted to make something that was very romantic, but it's also very stylized because there's supernatural elements and there are horror elements.
How often do I have to tell you there is no horseman? There never was a horseman. There never will be a horseman.
To create the film's gruesome beheadings, the filmmakers used the latest special effects and makeup techniques. The process began with making plaster casts of each victim.
They cover you up, and it feels like any minute they're going to stick 2 straws up your nose and suck your brains out.
Once the duplicate heads were cast, the details were added.
All the heads are silicone painted. The hairs have been punched in individually. Eyeballs are put in. And we'll take teeth casts of the actors and then make acrylic teeth and fit them in. And each head will have this kind of gross muscle treatment with a spine, a throat, you know, skin.
The guys came in from special effects and said, "Oh, have you seen your head yet? It's great, look." And we pulled it out of the box. Well, I talk about intimations of mortality, you know. I've seen my head in somebody's hands.
For the actual decapitations, Burton added a distinctive touch.
Tim wanted to see the head spin around. So we have a head and shoulders piece that we do the head neck spinning thing. And then we cut to a wide shot, and that's a full body that's all held together with electromagnets. And we basically flip a switch, and the knees will buckle first, then the ankles, and then the waist and the arms will fall down. So we have a very, very natural look.
It was a horseman, a dead one, headless.
Of course it was. That's why you're here.
It's all true.
This telling of the legend explores the horseman's origins as a Hessian mercenary.
Unlike his companion,